Alright, so I'm doing the underpowered crappy legacy cube, and there's four things here: mono red, mono green, or keep yourself open with solemn or tropical island. Now, there's only one green card, there's two red cards. I'm just gonna take the elf because green is, ramping with green or green blue is probably the most powerful strategy you can have. Um, Solemn's not bad, but it's not as good when they want people to play two color decks in this format. Since mana fixing is way down, um, whatever. Here, there's a lot of very powerful cards. There's Lingering Souls, there's Shackles, but since this is more creature based and apparently more vampire based, this dude right here, the 3/2 Vigilance guy, is actually really good. But I think I'm just, Garrick in this case, I love Through the Breach, it's like my favorite card. But Garrick in this case is a removal spell, it generates creatures, and if you can flip it, you can win the game with them. So I think that's a pretty easy choice. Wood Elves would be the second choice. Alright, so there's Koth, there's Assembled Legion, which is very powerful, there's Banishing Light, and there's another Garrick. And apparently they really like, making people want to play mono vampires, which I will not do. So I'm just going to go with the second Garrick. This Garrick is completely different than Garrick Relentless because this guy is more of a mana ramp and a creature generator, but he has the overrun ability. That Garrick is more of a kill spell, and there's a Cradle and an Elf, and also a Valakut. Cradle is good, but there's a lot of times where you just don't want Cradle because you won't have a creature in play. So I'm just going to take the Elf because it does what I want. I want a mass of creatures. I want, also I'm cutting green pretty hard. Cradle could come around, it won't, but, there's always a possibility. There's also Faith's Fetters, but Valakut's the interesting one. Also, Mono Red is wide open. But, what kind of degenerate plays Mono Red? It's called Fun Police for a reason. Right now, I like, on power level, my first four picks aren't great, but for stability, they're really good. Alright, so there's Ramping Artifacts, which I don't need since I have Elves. There's Garrick, which is pretty powerful, since Planeswalkers and creatures are more powerful than the spells in this new iteration of the cube. There's also a Sundering Titan, because, mana fixing is so bad in this new cube, like with all the, Scrylands and all that junk. People play a lot more basics, and if you want to play multiple colors, like a fun deck, you take, Sundering Titan just wrecks them. Here, there's another Elf. There's also Jataxian Probe, which is pretty badass. There's Mishra's Factory. Beast Within's meh. Cyclonic Rift would be great in a blue-green deck. But I have a feeling because I passed the fixing, I'm not going to see any blue fixing, so I'm going to just avoid blue. Here, oh god, I could have taken Valakut and Scapeshift. That sucks. Although, why they added Scapeshift to this cube, I can't tell you. But Fauna Shaman is exactly what a deck like this wants. I have a lot of cheap creatures. I can then use this to tutor from. Coalition Relic is also very good. I'm just going to take Fauna Shaman. Alright, so here, the Wolfear Silverheart is a clear finisher. Although Fertile Ground combos very nicely with Garrick, but Wolfear is Wolfie over there. He's pretty nuts, and especially in a deck like this. Here, let's see. One of the red spells tabled, so I'm guessing there may not be mono red around me. There's a lot of humans in this. Master of Waves is good if you have I forget what it's good with. Through the Breach is still there, but there's also an acidic slime. And while I really want Through the Breach, I think there's only one Eldrazi in this cube. So I don't even think there's like Emrakul in this cube, or Show and Tell. So yeah, I'm just okay. Here, Call the Herd, 3 mana, make a 3/3. So it's 7 mana for 6 power. It's acceptable. I'm basically just still cutting. Oh, I could have taken Scape Shift and Valakut would have tabled. What a shitty feeling. Also, that dude doesn't seem terrible, but I'm just gonna take the red-green land. Seems fine. Wow, that is the latest Noble Hierarch I've ever seen in my entire life. I'll just take a green-white land, doesn't really matter. Okay, so after finishing the first pack, this deck looks really, really strong. I have 4 mana accelerants, I have a couple planeswalkers, and I have my finishers. Now I want to kind of fill up the middle and maybe pick up another big dude. Like, there's an Eldrazi. Now I have to make a choice. What is that Dark Ritual? What the hell? This is a pretty good pack. I mean, Terminus wrecks me. That's, Eldrazi are good, but is Tooth and Nail better? And I think in this deck, Tooth and Nail is just, insane. Especially if the Eldrazi tables, or I haven't actually checked the list, so if there's more Eldrazi, that would be even nicer. I like Tooth and Nail here, though. I think that a green tutoring effect is nice. It's a difficult pick, though. I really wanted that. Oh, okay. Well, this I will gladly take. Okay, there are a couple cards in my colors. There's Thragtusk, which is good. There's, some other good. There's Karn. I'll take Karn. I don't know what the last dude took over Karn, but it was not nearly as good as Karn. I think people forget that Karn is good. Okay, here, Troll Aesthetic is kind of like my pet pick, although there's some blue cards coming around late. There's also a Mox Diamond. Troll Aesthetic for me is like one of those cards that like you just have to take because I just don't lose when I have it. If I get into play, especially in this deck where I can get to play on turn 2, having a creature that can regenerate. Oh, Whip of Erebos in this? Oh, but having a creature that regenerates is pretty powerful. There's Raphaelos. That's, more mana accelerants. That's a pretty late Tundra. Genesis Wave, if it tables, would be nice, I think. There isn't much. Ooh. Okay, so there's a couple cards that hurt me. There's also a couple of cards that are not bad here. Birthing Pod seems cute, but I don't have the creatures for it. I do have Tooth and Nail, and I want to pick up a big creature, and I feel like a 6/6 Death Toucher that, or what is it? The 6/6 where I get back my creature seems pretty strong. Chasm Sculptor, yeah, whatever it is. You know what I mean. Chasm Sculpt, whatever. It's a good card. Venser is really strong, but Eternal Witness is like every time I've ever had it, it's always been MVP. Always. Like I've never not gotten value. There is an Edric, which in a deck with a lot of small creatures is good, but oh, I will gladly take that Avenger Zendikar. Gladly. I have absolutely no issues with Avenger here. Avenger is perfect, especially with Tooth and Nail and mana accelerants. So, I mean, the Mox is not bad either, but yeah. Grafted War Gear is good when you have a lot of 1/1s, but Courser I think fits more what I'm doing. It's a little more defensive, but You know, it just gets lands out of my deck and gains a little bit of life, which is useful. Here, God, Terminus would just destroy me, but I like the wall. Draws a card. Green doesn't have many draw effects, so I'll take him where I can get him. Now that's an insanely late equipment in a format with no Jitte and no sword. Luxodon, whatever it is, I like that card a lot. But I think I'm just going to go for the giant green thing. In a bubble, one kills the other. So, wow. Seriously? Even, oh, Genesis Wave tabled, but I think since Planeswalkers are so prevalent that Revoker may actually be better. I mean, on the pack that they show you, it's Tamiyo. Like, Jace the Mind Sculptor, Tamiyo, Jace Architect of Thought, my Garrix for, ooh, Birthing Pod table. That's a sweet one. I need a 6-drop, though. Like, Wormcoil Engine would be beautiful. I gotta see if I could play Birthing Pod. Birthing Pod would be alright, but if I don't have a 6-drop, I have no... Wow. I'll take that insanely late Manador. Sure, why not? Works for me. And that's another... It's kind of a ramp spell. It untaps lands and the sword. If I do end up going into blue, but I already passed Tropical Island. Like, I passed all the blue fixing, so... This pack is one of the worst packs I've ever seen in Cube. Ever. And that's saying a lot. Actually, no, it's not. Cube packs, when you open them up, should be like, oh my god, do I take this, or this? And I see this pack and I go, what do I care about? Like, this pack is just terrible for me. Like, it comes down to, like, the most powerful card for me is Tech Edge? Maybe? Or, like, god, this is just bad. I mean, I'll take the wall, I guess. Another mana accelerant, but there's Think Twice, there's Shivan Reef, Fire's Yavimaya is not bad, Helix is not bad, Kratos Claws is just, like, all these cards are just not bad. Doesn't mean that they're good in any way, shape, or form, it just means they're not bad. Now, in this pack, there's a Vengevine, which goes really great with Birthing Pod, but there's also a Scavenging Ooze. Also a shit ton of fixing just keeps floating around the table, and I don't think... I guess everyone's like, you know, 2-color... Like, that's what happens, though, when you force a 2-color format, and, you know, you're gonna get a lot of fixing going around the table. But Scavenging Ooze, with the amount of Reanimate that I'm passing, seems like the best pick here. It's also a 2-drop that can do a lot of things, so... I like the idea of having that. And this one's a difficult pick, right? Because Big Garrick is really, really strong. Also, I'm not seeing a single 6-drop, which sucks. But Big Garrick is extremely strong, but Glenalandra is one of the strongest cards in all Magic. I mean, it's hard to kill, it deals, you know, it's an onboard trick, it's in case, in the off chance I go blue, I want that card. Now in this pack, this deck may be the one deck in the format that could actually play Overrun. There's also Ultimate Price, Repeal, Searing Spear, Mirari's Wake, Marsh Flats, but in a format like this, where they got rid of all the good equipment, you know, Boon Satyr to me, well, there's also a top also. Boon Satyr, though, feels like the new kind of equipment, only because, you know, without good equipment, you gotta take something that you could, you know, put on your guys, like your Troll Aesthetic. Now, in this case, while that Planeswalker is pretty good, it used to be better. Like, its ability to destroy artifacts or enchantments used to be extremely strong, but now there's less artifacts and enchantments to deal with. less equipment, less mana ramp. So Thrun here, there's only 3 spells that I know of that may or may not be in this cube that even deal with Thrun. One of which I passed was Terminus, but, you know, I have Wolfear Silverheart, I have Boon Satyr. Those are 2 good cards that go with both Troll Aesthetic and Thrun in this extremely underpowered cube. So I feel like getting a 4/4/4 that regenerates is very strong. Now here, there's some more good blue cards. This is a really weird, I think it's in Commander. Winter Orb is definitely amazing in my deck. But there's like that weird enchantment, I think it was printed in Commander. Turns anything into a colorless forest or something, I don't know. And Indrik Stomppower used to be a very powerful card. Like I said, back when Mana Ramp was all the rage. That's not true anymore, though. So it kind of just gets passed by the wayside. It's just not good anymore. Also, there's just a lot of vampires in this format. Way too many vampires. I don't like vampires. Like, I'm not going vampire tribal anytime soon. Here, there's a lot of powerful cards in this pack. Living End, Sarkhan, Zealous Conscripts, a fetch land. Fetch land shouldn't be here this late. Like, you know how crazy that looks? I'm just going to take Nissa, though. Now, this is a difficult pick. Because, well, first off, there are still 2 lands in this pack. But do I take the primal? Do I take the thing that fetches one of my big creatures, or do I just take another big dude that pumps out a bunch of more dudes? And also, if neither of those cards were in the pack, since most of the removal is black-based, I would have just slammed the Chameleon Colossus. But here, once again, here comes my pack, I think. Yeah, this is mine, and it's still horrible, so I'm just going to cut the Creator's Claws. There's, wow, more lands and vampires. Whoopee! But the Vengevine did table. But I didn't see a 6-drop, so playing Birthing. Wow. 3 lands? But if you look at it, I think that equipment that gives Lifelink and Death Touch, especially with creatures with Hexproof, is probably the best equipment that you could have, other than Luxon and Warhammer. Here, I could take Oberon if I'm in like a, it's just, Oberon just seems like not good. I'm just gonna take one of the most powerful cards ever made in Mirari's Wake. Here, see, you would have never seen in the old cubes Indrik Stomppower go that late, but I'll just take Xenagos, whatever, it really doesn't matter. And a last pick, Obstinate Baloth, which is a legitimate card. Alright, I will gladly take legitimate cards that late. That is fine by me. Because, let's be honest here, people, 4/4 for 4 in this format where I passed a lot of 3 power, a lot of 2 power creatures, things of that nature. 4/4 for 4 is just overpowered almost. Now I had to speed this part up because it took me a really long time to build this because I don't want to hurt my early game and I don't want to hurt my late game. Like, my late game creatures are really strong, my early game creatures are really strong. My planeswalkers are good. Nissa may be the weakest, but she could also, win games on the spot. This is definitely, though, a 16 land deck. I don't know how great Nissa is. I just don't know what to cut. I may have to cut a Mana Dork. I can cut the Vengevine, because I'm not playing Pod, and at 3 toughness, I feel like he's pretty weak. So, I'm going to cut Call the Herd. I'm not a big fan of it. 7 mana for 6 power. Where in this deck, for 7 mana, I'm getting a lot more power than that. I don't want to cut Acidic Slime. Acidic Slime is just too good. Baloth I can bring in for the sideboard against a lot of decks. I could bring it in against any deck with discard, but I think this is my 24. This looks pretty strong. So let me see what they suggest for lands. All right, and I will see you guys in about 2 minutes.